Changhua Wu joins me now. She's the CEO of the Beijing Future Innovation Center and the Executive Director of the Professional Association for China's Environment. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
Well, we just saw the stories about all the drills and preparations. Is China better prepared now to handle severe weather?
Well, we all learned from the lessons last summer, and when heavy rainfalls and flooding hit the central parts of Henan province, which led to the loss of 398 people, and also with dramatic economic losses at about $17.8 billion. So since then, the whole country has been pretty much on high alert. And so you could imagine all the plans and efforts are, and the resources are dedicated actually to figuring out how to get better prepared. In reality, I think China, compared to last year, China definitely is learning its lessons and is better prepared in terms of the natural extreme weather induced natural disaster reduction and prevention control system. If you look at the national governments, horizontally and vertically, so all the government agencies are working with each other, and the national and local governments are working with each other, and to make sure we would be pre-screening all the risks or threats existing out there, and try to clear those threats as much as possible. And then you started to see much enhanced capability in terms of monitoring, forecasting, early warning, and emergency response. In the meantime, as you said, local people are getting more prepared in terms of, self-rescuing and recovery situation there. So in a nutshell, I think the country definitely, comparatively speaking, is much better prepared. But in the meantime, as we're talking about this issue today, and the challenge is still overwhelming. And it's very, very hard to prevent getting to zero, for instance, zero loss or zero damage there. So there's still a long way to go.
And as we've reported, parts of China have already seen heavy rains and damage this season. What are you hearing as far as the upcoming flood season? Is it just getting more severe every year?
It is. I think, globally, climate change, climate crisis is impacting everywhere, every part of the world, and in particular, impacting the hydrological cycle, or cold water itself. Some parts of the world are pretty much dry, and now we're talking about heavy precipitation and heat waves actually in China. There are a few major changes that have been observed or known already in terms of risk. One, if you look at the monsoons coming pretty much this year 1 month earlier, and meaning we're going to experience heavy rainfalls 1 month earlier than before. Second observation, actually, the northern part of China, which usually do not have so much precipitation in the summer, but now we've been seeing more and more precipitation, particularly heavy rainfalls, heavy precipitation plus heat wave there. So that increased the dramatic risk for the northern part of China in terms of flood prevention and emergency response. And the third observation is the accelerated melting of the glaciers. Glacier snow melt has been accelerating. I think already observed in, for instance, Xinjiang in Tibet plateau. And that's a major headwater for not only Yangtze River, major river system in China, but also for South and Southeast Asia, other rivers there as well. So I think that scientifically speaking, or observation already tell us it is changing, and particularly in terms of the frequency, intensity, and also the downpour, the quantity of water, China is experiencing, that's dramatically changing, and it's going to continue to intensify with the intensified global warming.
And we've been talking about what's being done reactively, but is this just a good reminder when it comes to climate change about motivating people to do something about this in a preventive way?
Well, yes, I think short-term, immediate term, when you go through disasters, every individual needs to figure out actually how to respond. You cannot rely on others actually to rescue you. So there are things like government, business, local communities, cities, as well as individual household actually need to learn. I think early on you mentioned the drilling in Hubei province. That's a very important part of preparatory process. That's kind of skill. So the awareness, I think, generally speaking, in the public is high up there. And because we all watched literally, many people experienced literally the Henan flooding last year with the devastating losses and damages to city infrastructure as well as to agriculture, threatening food safety, and also of course endangering energy services, water services there as well. So yes, I think resilience has become sort of the theme of the day for every individual. It doesn't matter where you live. You have to be aware of that and gaining more skills actually to respond. But more importantly, we need to figure out how to address this issue by understanding the root causes actually. And so saving energy, going towards clean energy. In the meantime, actually, to make sure you manage or reduce your ecological environmental footprints as much as possible. So in the midterm, longer term, that's required. It's more like a collective actions from a government, business, individuals, as not only China, actually globally. We need to come together on one side, mitigating the climate change while actually trying to figure out how to adapt to the changes the world we're already living in.
All right, all great reminders. Always nice to see you. Thank you so much for joining us, Changhua Wu.